Hi there, so this is a video to contrast and compare FUE with FUT. So I've had both procedures and hopefully my experience will help you to make an informed decision. Obviously you have to consult surgeons and do your own research, but hopefully this will help. So first of all, cost. So FUT is an older procedure and it involves less technicians to perform the operation, so the clinic has to pay less people and it's faster, it takes less time, so it's cheaper. FUE, you need more people to do it and it takes much longer. So clinics can charge more for FUE, but I would be wary of clinics trying to push FUE onto you because they're saying it's the best choice because it's better for them because they make more money. Discomfort. So there is pain with both, but different levels of pain. So with FUE, they basically go in with a drill, they drill all these grafts and then they tear it out of your head all around the back and the sides. So it's difficult to numb a large area of your body compared to numbing a small area. So you have to numb the back and the sides, and then they go in with this drill and you feel the hair being torn out of your hair. I found this really painful because the anaesthetic wasn't working that well for me. With the FUT, it's much easier to numb a smaller strip at the back of your head. They make the cut, they sew it up. I didn't feel a thing. So if you are thinking about the pain level, FUT, definitely, there's no discomfort at all, can't feel a thing. Recovery time. So with FUE, I had probably up to 3 months after the operation, I felt like a numb pain on the back and the sides, sometimes when I was in the shower or just sometimes randomly. And after 3 months there was no more discomfort, more or less. And you do have some difficulty sleeping, but it's easier to get back to your normal everyday life because it's a less invasive operation. Yeah, they don't literally cut a strip out of your head, they just take the individual grafts and you can get on with your life. With the FUT, it was impossible to sleep for at least a week afterwards because you can't lay on your back, you can't lay on your sides, and obviously it's more invasive and I needed painkillers for longer than with FUE. So I have a video where I go through the whole diary of how long the pain took and everything with the FUT, so you can watch that for more information. But I would say that you recover quicker with FUE. So another thing I just want to add is if you work out, if you do weight training, then you can get back to the gym a couple of weeks after having an FUE procedure. Maybe not a couple of weeks, but faster than you can with FUT, because with FUT there's a risk that lifting weights will stretch the scar, and that means you're going to have a bigger scar afterwards. So really it should be at least 3 or 4 months after an FUT before you hit the gym again. So you need to consider that if you are a gym user, because your muscles will deteriorate. So it's just another fact that no one told me before I had this done. Post-op scars and visibility. So another thing that clinics may try to sell you is that with FUE the scars are invisible and no one's going to be able to see you've had a hair transplant. That's completely incorrect, because depending how many grafts they take from the back and the sides, you will be left with small white scars all around the back and the sides, and it means when you have your hair cut less than a number 3, if you have it shaved less than a number 3, what happens is that when your hair is shaved and the light reflects off your hair, you have this kind of uniform smoothness. But when you have little lumps that are missing and the light kind of reflects off the hair, you can kind of note these kind of thinner, tiny bald patches. So they told me, for example, that I could shave my hair to a number 3 as long as I didn't go below a number 3. In fact, I can't go below a 4, and even then I have to wait after it's done to be completely confident, because you can see patches of scalp through your hair. What I'm going to do is just show some images of this now. It's also the same thing with F.U.T, except rather than the scars being diffused all around the back and the sides, you've got one long strip on the back. It could be only a couple of millimeters long, but if you think, okay, you've got all this hair growing and then you've got 3 millimeter section by 10 or 12 or 15 centimeters where there's no hair growing, obviously, again, when the light bounces off your hair, you're going to notice this section that doesn't fall right on the back of your head. So you can kind of see that there's a scar on the back of your head. Again, if you go below 3, it's going to be obvious. If you keep your hair a bit longer, maybe not. With F.U.T, there's more responsibility on yourself as to how big the scar will be, because if you go into the gym and you start lifting weights, or if you do some kind of activity which stretches a scar, that'd be your fault. With F.U.E, more or less, you've got these little patches, you know, they're going to be like that whatever you do. You can hit the gym again. But at the end of the day, it really is down to the skill of the surgeon, how they've closed that F.U.T scar, how skilled they are. Effectiveness. So F.U.T is proven to be more effective as more grafts survive, and you can confirm that with different clinics as you do your research. This is a fact, and I was told this before, and I wish I had gone ahead and done the F.U.T straight away, but I didn't. I had an F.U.E and it didn't work. But anyway, so with F.U.T, they take a whole strip of skin out of the back of your head, they remove it, so each follicle, when they remove it, is still surrounded by its own tissue and its own fat and its own food supply. So they take it away from your body and then they divide it up into individual hairs. With F.U.E, they take the grafts out one at a time and it has no food supply, so it's likely to die quicker than the F.U.T strips. So I think one of the reasons for me, you know, why it didn't work, that the F.U.E didn't work, is because the hairs had died by the time that they were inserted into the front of my head. So if you're thinking about effectiveness and not wasting your time, you want to go for an F.U.T. Yeah, I didn't because I was thinking about the scar, but at the end of the day, you know, the scar's not too bad, and my advice to you is don't waste your money and your time, you know, just go and have an F.U.T. Operation time. So as I explained, F.U.E is much longer, probably double the time. So for me, for example, the operation was about 10 hours when I had F.U.E. That was, I think it was 1,500 grafts which they took from the back of the sides and then put into the front. With F.U.T, it took 4 hours. So you can see the difference, not only in the time you've got to sit there potentially in discomfort, but just the fact you can go, it's more of an in-out procedure. So if you're thinking about operation time, maybe you're a bit squeamish or you don't want to be there for a long operation, it would be F.U.T, which is the one to choose. And I should just clarify that the time it takes to insert the grafts, yeah, would be the same. That's nothing to do with how the grafts are taken. But as I mentioned, for me the F.U.E didn't work. So, you know, I wish I had had the F.U.T straight away. But, you know, with hindsight, I was affected by the surgeons who were advising me, you're not going to have a scar with F.U.E. It's going to be, you know, less painful. It's going to heal quicker. You know, I had all this, in a way, false information which was given to me. So I chose F.U.E, but looking back now, I should have chosen F.U.T. But anyway, hopefully all this is going to help you guys to make a decision. Feel free to subscribe if you want to leave some comments, any questions. I'll try my best to answer them. And yeah, my next video will be in a few months, where it's going to be my final update on the F.U.T, which I did have done. So yeah, thanks for watching.